international body in tent pegging. We never had juniors when I was involved in the early 80s, 90s. We've introduced juniors into our teams. Because of the safeguarding for children, all the legislations with the BEF and FEI, we've introduced all the dope testing legislation, the child welfare, the accreditations for judges, coaches, trainers, and it has become more and more professional. As a help from the ITPF, we formed the European Tent Pegging Association with our co-hosts Germany, Norway, and Holland. We've hosted in Germany and Norway a couple of European internationals. Because of lockdown, we were unfortunate where we couldn't host one this year in the UK. It's our intentions, or try to host an international next year when things get back to normality. But again, it's with the help of the ITPF, professional bodies, and the other national countries that have supported us over the years financially and educating the riders that are involved in. Let me see if the main goal, what we've all seem to aim for is the Olympics. But again, because of different rules in different countries, we've now standardized rules with the ITPF. It's just a matter of now standardizing equipment so we can go forward to our big goal for the Olympics. Once standardization of equipment, of pegs, lemons, rings, swords and lances, then we can move forward. I'm told that we're nearing the amount of countries in the ITPF where we can take it forward. So
Mr. Paul, you're muted again somehow. Can you hear me, Mr. Paul? You are muted again. Can you just unmute yourself? There are still some technical issues, I guess, at Mr. Paul's end. He is still online. We'll wait for a minute or so for Mr. Paul if he can join back. I don't think he's able to make it. So I'll just continue. I'll take on from here. Thank you, Mr. Paul. It was going on very nice, and we were getting to know various things from you, but somehow we couldn't get the entire gamut that you were trying to tell us and enlighten us. But thank you very much for being there, Mr. Paul. Now we come to the round off session of this international conference on equestrian tent pegging and its future. The future of tent pegging seems very bright as observed from the conversations of the top administrators of the sport. The International Tent Pegging Federation (ITPF), under the visionary leadership of Mr. Feroz, has performed exceptionally well in getting the sport of tent pegging its due at the international level, particularly after the 3 World Cups under its banner and signing of MOU with the International Equestrian Federation, the FEI. Our AEF tent pegging committee also have devised strategies to further develop the sport. My take has always been that any sport can grow if developed at the grassroots level. School children must be introduced to this lovely sport at a very early stage, which Mr. Lean has also mentioned in her address. In India, we have introduced pony tent pegging for kids so that it becomes even more safer for the kids to ride and practice tent pegging with equipments that may not hurt anyone. And we have introduced events like trot tent pegging for lance, sword, drinks, lemons, paired, and team events. These activities have helped the students to take up the sport, which by rules had restricted them for participation below the age of 16 for the risks involved. It would indeed be great to have tent pegging reintroduced in Asian Games after 1982. Induction in Asian Games will mean more equestrian enthusiasts will take up the sport and the competition levels will rise. The total tally of players of tent pegging would drastically rise if we hopefully we are going to get into the Asian Games. As governing bodies, ITPF and its continental bodies, Asian Equestrian Federation, European Tent Pegging Federation, African Tent Pegging Federation, should push national federations to organize more friendly international championships at school, college, and university levels. With the amount of work done by ITPF, players of tent pegging in India, especially those who have represented India in World Cup qualifiers and World Cups, have won cash prizes of several million Indian rupees from their state governments, which in itself is a very big motivational reward for players and those who would like to take up this sport. Recently, our India team player Ajay Sawant bagged India's highest sporting honor, the Arjuna Award, with a cash prize of 1.5 million Indian rupees. As I'll come back to what Mr. Abid was saying about the league system, Equine Sports has finalized the tent pegging Premier League with 12 teams with representation of the top 10 pegging players in world playing a league format, and all players would be paid a bid fee along with cash prizes during the league in India and maybe any other venue in the world that offers. Each team to have 8 players and 4 of them mandatorily be youngsters below the age of 21. The winning amount is planned to be 10 million Indian rupees. We are hopeful that COVID-19 pandemic would end soon and we are able to float the league by late 2021. I'm certain with these kind of events and leagues, the players of tent pegging, particularly youngsters, will be benefited. On similar lines, a lot of open international competitions have been initiated for exposure of national riders and international riders. A lot of potential lies in women in equestrian sports. ITPF has done a remarkable job in having introduced ITPF Ladies International and organizing the World Cup in Oman for ladies. And it is a very big step in inviting women riders to tent pegging. And they will contribute a lot, we are sure of it. My request to all national federations who recognize tent pegging as an official discipline is to have international tent pegging clinics for the young riders. The ITPF and the EAF can surely help in detailing a coach like Mr. Lean Baksa for a week-long training clinic in every country. So these are some of the views, and more. We should probably the experts are here, Mr. Feroz, Mr. Abid Tareen, Mr. Paul, Mr. Lean, and other honorable members are here of uh, the speaker list. My recommendation would be to organize more and more weekly tournaments. School tournaments must be organized to popularize the sport. Efforts must be made to address issues of riders like proper riding, training, movement of horses for the competitions, veterinary checks, etc. The national federations must address these issues, or the private organizations should devise ways to help the budding players through an online platform. We would need to invest in media. We would need to invest in getting sponsorships, live online broadcasts, and organize more and more events, and strategize for a continued forward graph of the sport. Besides, all sports are developed at two levels, and two means the first one is the grassroots level, the other is the strategic level. A strategic level includes discussion among national and international federations, sport governing bodies like Olympic associations and sports ministries, and also organizing seminars, conferences, and events to discuss ideas, problems, and their solutions for the sport to grow. So this was the first of such conference for strategic development of the sport, and it was aimed at tent pegging lovers, tent pegging players, tent pegging aspirants to know what is going on around the world in the world of tent pegging, and directly from the top people involved in the administration of tent pegging. I would like to thank you all the speakers. And finally, I would request the Vice President of Federation for Global Economic and Cultural Relations, Mr. Sachin Vats, to thank all the respected speakers on the panel and all the participants. On to Mr. Sachin Vats.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Well, what a pleasure and what a delight to hear such luminaries from the world of equestrian sport and tent pegging. This is my first year of Gurukul Horse Riding Club, but I feel so connected with all of you today, and it was such a delight. Thank you so very much. On behalf of Federation for Promotion of Global Economic and Cultural Relations, FGECR, and the new Equestrian Tent Pegging Hub in North India, Gurukul Horse Riding Club, I would like to thank our keynote speaker and chief guest, Sheikh Isa Al Farouz, the Honorable President of International Tent Pegging Federation, for honoring the first international conference on equestrian tent pegging and its future. It has been an enriching experience for all participants from his word of encouragement of the future of tent pegging and its players. We are aware that Sheikh Farouz is a highly busy man. Well, but despite of his busy schedule, he accepted to be the keynote speaker and chief guest of this webinar. So we thank you very much wholeheartedly for your gracious presence and making this conference a success. We are very much thankful to our guest speaker, Ms. Deline Baksa, head of ITPF Women Committee and a world-renowned coach of equestrian tent pegging, for her gracious presence and giving very important insights of tent pegging. Much thanks are due to Mr. Paul Brown, President of British Tent Pegging Association and President of European Tent Pegging Federation, for his valuable inputs in the conference. And I must compliment the amazing backdrop I'm sure you must have seen, with all the plaques and shields behind him. What a beautiful backdrop he had. We highly appreciate the participation of officials from the Asian Equestrian Federation, Mr. Salim Al-Maliki, Chairman of Tent Pegging Committee of AEF, for giving insights of the proposed program of the future in Asia for development of tent pegging. I extend my thank to Major General N.S. Rajpurohit in absentia, and Colonel Javeer Singh, again in absentia, Secretary General, Equestrian Federation of India. Asia and AEF has a very, very strong pillar for development of equestrian sport called Mr. Abid Tareen. I had a pleasure to meet him in Qatar, Abid Bhai, the Deputy Secretary General of Asian Equestrian Federation and board member of ITPF. We would like to thank Mr. Abid for his valuable time and overview of the sport of tent pegging. Also, the man, Mr. Ahmed Afsar, who breathed this sport, because of whose effort this event was possible. And of course, the president of FGECR, Mr. Brajesh Mathur. Finally, I would like to thank all participants who have registered for this conference. A total registration received was 722 from various countries: India, Oman, Pakistan, Germany, Nepal, Egypt, Yemen, Australia, and so on. US, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, of course, Canada, Sudan. Thank you all, and we would surely connect again in our next series of equestrian and tent pegging webinars. Till then, be healthy, be safe, keep tent pegging.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachin Vaz. Thank you very much all for being here. We hope to see you soon. Good day.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Afsar. Thank you very much, Mr. Abid. Thank you all.
Now all have been unmuted.
Germany.
If you want to discuss anything, you can
Thank you very
discuss.
much.
But our
Thank
guest
you very much.
is leaving now.
Thank you very much for
much.
organizing
For
the
meet.
conference. Thank you very much for organizing. Thank you very much from
Assalamu
Germany.
alaikum, everybody.
Thank you all.
Hello.
Thank you all. It's
In
really
USA.
brilliant.
Brothers and sisters.
Was brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you.
Zubair.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Thank you. We'll be taking a
well.
leave.
Inshallah, come
Have a
to
nice
USA
day.
in
Bye-bye.
2021.
You're fine.
Inshallah, yeah. I invite you all to USA 2021.
We'll see you in India next year.
No, in USA 2021 and India too.
Okay, inshallah. Take
We'll
care.
go to
Yes, you all too.
Thank you, Ms. Darin.
ابو غابوس خلاص مع السلامه.
يلا في امان الله. ومالك ما تشوف على فوق كل راسك تحت.
السلام عليكم.
شكرا شيخ محمد. شكرا. كان كثير رائع.
Barry, I don't see your mic open. Barry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Long time. Yeah. How you been?
You're looking well.
Yeah, thanks.
Mr. Bilal Sabri, though officially the conference is over, Mr. Bilal Sabri, a star tent pegger from Yemen, is also here. Mr. Bilal, you had asked several questions, but those were all technical questions. So this was the first conference for overview of equestrian tent pegging. So in the next conference, all your questions will be addressed by the technical committee of the ITPF. Hopefully.
Thank you so much.
فتح الصوت لقيته.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Mr. Barry.
Everyone.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye. See you.
See ya. See ya.
All right, thanks everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Zubair. Regards to USA.
Thanks, Mr. Ahmed Afsar.
Have a nice day.
Abid Sab is still around? And how are you?
He's a busy man.
My kids are keeping me busy.
Okay.
Okay, in good health, inshallah.
Sir Pratap Sab, long time.
Long time.